I'm in my garage at 11:30 on a Tuesday night, wrapping tape around my knuckles after another brutal session at Murphy's boxing gym, when my phone buzzes with an automated notification: hotel receipt uploaded to shared expenses. That's odd. Aria said she was attending a leadership conference in Chicago this week. I wiped the sweat from my forehead and opened the banking app, scrolling through our joint account activity. The Riverside Inn, downtown, 20 minutes from our house, not Chicago. My name is Evan Venton, and I run a small electrical contracting business in this Rust Belt city where old money still talks, and blue-collar guys like me are supposed to know our place. My wife Aria works for Ravell Associates, a consulting firm that helps struggling businesses optimize their potential. She's been there 5 years now, ever since graduating with her MBA, and her boss Holden Ravell has taken a special interest in her career development. "He's mentoring me, Evan," she told me just last month when I questioned why she was working late again. "You should show more respect for what he's doing for my career. Not everyone gets this kind of personal attention from a senior partner." I stare at the receipt on my phone screen. Room 237. Checked in Monday, checked out Tuesday. Today is Tuesday. She's supposed to be in Chicago until Thursday. The garage feels suddenly cramped, filled with the smell of motor oil and old leather from my boxing gloves hanging on the wall. I built this space as my sanctuary, somewhere to work with my hands and think clearly. Tonight, it feels like a trap. I scroll further through our account history, something I rarely do since Aria handles most of our finances. She's the one with the business degree, after all. But now I'm looking closer, and patterns emerge that make my stomach clench. The Riverside Inn appears 14 times in the past 6 months, always on days when Aria claimed to be traveling for conferences or client meetings. Always charged to our business development credit card, the one Aria insisted we needed for her professional expenses. I grab my laptop from the workbench and start cross-referencing dates. March 15th, Aria said she was in Denver for a supply chain optimization seminar. Bank statement shows the Riverside Inn. April 3rd, supposedly in Atlanta for a leadership retreat, another local hotel charge. My hands are shaking now, and it's not from the boxing workout. I pull up Aria's social media accounts, something I haven't checked in months. Her Instagram is full of professional conference photos, name tags, convention center shots, networking events. But when I examine the metadata on the photos, every single image was taken within 50 miles of our house. The conference in Atlanta she raved about for weeks, the one where she met industry leaders and learned cutting-edge strategies. I navigate to the event website. The 2023 Leadership Excellence Summit was conducted entirely online due to budget constraints. No physical venue, no hotel necessary. I lean back in my folding chair, staring at the concrete ceiling of my garage. Aria has been lying to me for months, maybe longer. But why? And where has she really been during all these supposed business trips? The answer hits me like a left hook I didn't see coming. Holden Ravell drives a silver Bentley with vanity plates reading Mentor. I've seen that car parked at the Riverside Inn twice when I drove past on service calls. I thought it was coincidental. Maybe he was meeting clients there. Now I realize how naive I've been. My wife isn't attending conferences. She's having an affair with her boss, and they're using our joint account to fund their hotel rooms. The rage builds slowly, starting in my chest and spreading outward until my vision blurs. I want to drive to that hotel right now, find them together, and confront them both. But that's exactly what they'd expect from the blue-collar husband who doesn't understand business. Instead, I do what I do best. I start planning. I spend the next 2 hours downloading every bank statement, receipt, and expense report from the past 18 months. I create spreadsheets, cross-reference dates, and build a timeline that tells the story of my marriage's destruction in neat columns and rows. The evidence is overwhelming. Aria has charged over $47,000 to our joint accounts for business development activities that never happened. Hotels, restaurants, jewelry stores, spa treatments, all disguised as professional expenses. But the most damaging evidence comes from the metadata embedded in the PDF receipts themselves. When I examine the file properties, I discover that most of these documents were created or modified weeks after the supposed transactions occurred. Aria has been doctoring receipts, creating false documentation to cover her tracks. By 3 in the morning, I have enough evidence to destroy both their careers and reputations. But I'm not ready to play that card yet. First, I need to understand the full scope of what I'm dealing with. I send a single text message to Gus Murphy, my boxing coach, and the closest thing I have to a best friend. Need to talk. Coffee tomorrow, 7 a.m., usual place. Then I close my laptop, turn off the garage lights, and walk into my house where my wife is supposedly sleeping after her exhausting day of professional development. The bedroom is empty. Her side of the bed hasn't been slept in. I check our daughter Maya's room. She's fast asleep, clutching her stuffed elephant, completely unaware that her world is about to change forever. At 3 years old, she still believes her parents love each other, that families stay together, that people tell the truth. I sit on the edge of my own bed, still wearing my workout clothes, and stare at my phone. Part of me wants to call Aria, demand explanations, force her to come home and face what she's done. But that would give her time to prepare, to create new lies, to turn this situation around and make me the villain. Instead, I start researching Holden Ravell. What I discover makes everything worse. Holden is married to Isla Corvan, a woman who inherited significant wealth from her father's manufacturing business. More importantly, Isla is listed as a 51% owner of Ravell Associates. Holden's consulting firm isn't really his, it's hers. He's been using his wife's business to fund an affair, risking not just his marriage, but the entire company. I find Isla's contact information through public business records, her address, phone number, email, all readily available through the Secretary of State's corporate database. At 4 in the morning, I make a decision that will change everything. I print out every receipt, every bank statement, every piece of evidence I've gathered. I organize it chronologically, highlight the most damaging details, and prepare a comprehensive package that tells the complete story of the affair. Then I drive to an all-night copy shop and make 3 sets of everything. The first set goes into a safety deposit box I rent under my own name. The second set goes to my lawyer, along with a note explaining the situation and requesting immediate consultation about divorce proceedings. The third set gets mailed to Isla Corvan with a simple note written in block letters. Your husband's mentoring program includes some interesting extracurricular activities. Thought you should know what your business is funding. I drop the envelope into a mailbox outside the post office, just as the sun rises over our fading industrial city. Now I wait. Aria comes home at 6:30 Wednesday morning, carrying a Starbucks cup and wearing the same clothes she had on yesterday. Her hair is perfectly styled, her makeup fresh. She's clearly showered somewhere that isn't our house. How was Chicago? I ask from the kitchen table, where I'm drinking coffee and reading the newspaper like nothing has changed. Exhausting, she says, without missing a beat. The conference ran late, so I stayed an extra night. Got some incredible insights into team dynamics and leadership optimization. She kisses my cheek, and I smell expensive cologne that isn't mine. Learn anything useful? Oh, you wouldn't understand the technical aspects, but basically it's about leveraging interpersonal relationships to maximize organizational efficiency. She's using her business voice, the one that makes me feel like an idiot for asking questions. Sounds complicated. It is. That's why Holden recommended I attend. He really believes in my potential, Evan. You should appreciate that instead of being suspicious all the time. There it is. The deflection, the accusation that I'm the problem. Classic Aria. I respect what he's doing for your career, I say carefully. In fact, I respect him so much I'm thinking of sending his wife a thank you note for sharing him with your professional development. Aria freezes with her coffee cup halfway to her lips. What? Nothing. Just thinking out loud. She stares at me for a long moment, then shakes her head. Sometimes I don't understand you at all. She goes upstairs to change for work, and I hear the shower running. I use the time to check our bank account. Sure enough, there's a new charge from yesterday. Dinner for two at Romano's, the expensive Italian place downtown. The same restaurant where we had our anniversary dinner 3 years ago. My phone buzzes with a text from Gus. Coffee shop, 10 minutes, you look like garbage. I leave Aria in the shower and drive to Murphy's Diner, the greasy spoon where Gus and I meet every Wednesday to discuss everything except the things that really matter. Gus is already in our usual booth, working on his 3rd cup of coffee and a plate of eggs that could feed a small family. He's 62, built like a refrigerator, and has the kind of street wisdom that comes from 30 years as a city cop before opening his boxing gym. You look like someone ran over your dog, he says as I sit down. Worse, someone ran over my marriage. I tell him everything. The receipts, the fake conferences, the hotel charges, the evidence I've already gathered. Gus listens without interrupting, occasionally grunting or nodding, but mostly just letting me talk. When I finish, he leans back in the booth and studies my face. You want my advice? That's why I'm here. Don't do anything stupid. Don't go to that hotel with a baseball bat. Don't confront this Holden character in public. Don't give them any ammunition to use against you. Then what do? You be smarter than they are. You document everything. You protect yourself legally. And you make sure that when this comes out, and it will come out, you're the victim, not the aggressor. I already sent evidence to his wife. Gus nods approvingly. Good. Let her handle her own husband. Your job is to protect yourself and your daughter. Maya. The name hits me like a punch to the chest. Gus, what if she's not mine? What do you mean? I explain about the timeline, how Aria and Holden have been working together for 5 years, how Maya was born 3 years ago during a period when I was traveling constantly for electrical work. You need to know for sure, Gus says, but be prepared for either answer. We sit in silence for a few minutes, watching the morning crowd of construction workers and truck drivers fuel up for another day of honest work. There's something else, I say finally. I think Aria might be trying to hurt me. What do you mean? I have a severe shellfish allergy. Anaphylactic shock, carry an EpiPen, the whole thing. In the past year, I've been to the emergency room twice because of accidental exposure. Accidents happen. Both times, Aria ordered for me at restaurants. Both times she specifically told the server about my allergy. Both times, the food came out contaminated anyway. Gus sets down his coffee cup and gives me his full attention. The first time was at Chen's Garden. Aria ordered my usual beef and broccoli, made a big show of telling the waitress about the allergy. The food came out fine, but when I bit into what I thought was a piece of beef, it was actually a shrimp. Had to use my EpiPen and spend 6 hours in the ER. Could be an honest mistake. The second time was last month at Sullivan's Steakhouse. Same thing. Aria orders, mentions the allergy, food comes out wrong. But this time I asked to see the receipt. She had specifically ordered the surf and turf, then told them to hold the lobster but keep the shrimp sauce. Gus's expression darkens. That's not an accident. No, it's not. Someone who's been married to me for 5 years doesn't forget that shellfish will put me in the hospital. You think she's trying to? I don't know what she's trying to do, but I'm not eating anything she orders anymore. My phone rings. The caller ID shows Aria's office number. Evan? Her voice is tight, controlled. We need to talk. About what? About whatever games you think you're playing. Holden got an interesting call this morning from his wife. She seems to think he's having an affair. Is he? That's not the point. The point is that someone sent her a bunch of fake documents trying to make it look like... Fake documents? Hotel receipts, bank statements, fabricated evidence designed to destroy his reputation and our professional relationship. I almost laugh. She's calling the evidence fake while simultaneously admitting it's accurate. Why would someone do that? I don't know, but Holden thinks it might be someone jealous of my success. Someone who doesn't understand professional mentoring relationships. Sounds like a real mystery. Evan, I'm serious. If you had anything to do with this, with what? Sending accurate bank statements to a woman whose husband is spending her money on hotel rooms? Silence on the other end. I'll be home late tonight, she says finally. Emergency strategy session to deal with this crisis. Of course you will. She hangs up without saying goodbye. Gus has been listening to my side of the conversation with growing amusement. Emergency strategy session? That's what she calls it when they need to coordinate their stories. So what's your next move? I think about it for a moment. I'm going to do exactly what she asked. I'm going to show more respect for her mentor. How? By making sure his wife has all the information she needs to make informed decisions about their business partnership. Gus grins. I like it. Subtle. I learned from the best. We finish our coffee and part ways. Gus heads back to the gym to train fighters who still believe in honest work and fair fights. I drive to my office to plan the systematic destruction of two people who thought they were smarter than the electrician. My business is small but successful, Venton Electrical Services, serving commercial and residential clients throughout the Tri-County area. I built it from nothing, working 18-hour days and reinvesting every profit back into equipment and training. It's not glamorous, but it's mine. I spend the morning returning phone calls and scheduling service appointments, normal business activities that help me think clearly about my personal situation. Around noon, I get a call that changes everything. Mr. Venton, this is Isla Corvan. I believe you know my husband. Her voice is crisp, educated, but with an underlying steel that tells me she's not someone to underestimate. Mrs. Corvan, thank you for calling. I received some interesting mail yesterday. Documents that raise serious questions about my business and my marriage. I'm sorry to hear that. Are you? Because I think you might be the source of those documents. What makes you think that? Because you're the only person with access to those bank records who would have a reason to share them with me. I consider denying it, but something in her tone tells me that honesty might be the better strategy. You're right. Good. I appreciate directness. Can we meet? When and where? Today, 2 o'clock, Riverside Park, the gazebo by the lake. Come alone. She hangs up before I can respond. I spend the next 2 hours researching everything I can find about Isla Corvan. What I discover is impressive and slightly terrifying. She inherited Corvan Manufacturing from her father, a company that produces specialized components for the automotive industry. Under her leadership, the company has expanded into 3 states and employs over 400 people. She's been featured in business magazines as one of the region's most successful entrepreneurs. More importantly, she's been married to Holden for 8 years, and according to public records, she owns 51% of Ravell Associates. Holden's consulting business exists entirely because of her financial backing. At 2 o'clock, I'm sitting on a bench near the gazebo, watching a woman in an expensive business suit walk toward me with the confidence of someone who's used to being the smartest person in the room. Isla Corvan is nothing like what I expected. Isla Corvan is 42 years old, with silver-streaked auburn hair and the kind of presence that commands attention without demanding it. She's wearing a charcoal business suit that probably costs more than I make in a week, but she carries herself like someone who earned every dollar rather than inherited it. She sits across from me at the picnic table near the gazebo, places a leather portfolio on the weathered wood, and studies my face with intelligent gray eyes. "You're not what I expected," she says. "What did you expect?" "Someone bitter, angry, looking for revenge." I am angry. "But you're not stupid. That's refreshing." She opens her portfolio and spreads out copies of the documents I sent her, bank statements, hotel receipts, expense reports. But she's also added her own materials, corporate financial records, partnership agreements, and what appears to be a forensic accounting analysis. I've been suspicious of my husband for months, she says without preamble. Not because of another woman. I honestly didn't care about that, but because money was disappearing from our business accounts. How much money? Initially, I thought it was about $40,000. After your documentation arrived, I hired a forensic accountant to dig deeper. She slides a report across the table. The actual amount is closer to $340,000. I stare at the numbers, trying to process what she's telling me. 340,000? Hotel rooms were just the beginning. There are charges for jewelry, expensive dinners, weekend trips to resort destinations, even a lease on a luxury apartment downtown that I knew nothing about. An apartment? Apparently, your wife and my husband needed somewhere more private than hotel rooms. The lease is in both their names, paid for with company funds disguised as client entertainment expenses. My hands clench involuntarily. Show me. She produces a lease agreement. There it is in black and white. Aria Venton and Holden Ravell, joint tenants on a downtown loft apartment, monthly rent of $4,000, charged to Ravell Associates as a client hospitality suite. They've been living together part-time for 8 months, Isla continues, while you've been working to support your family and I've been funding their love nest. Why are you telling me this? Because I want them destroyed, and I think you might be the right person to help me do it. She leans forward, and I see something dangerous in her eyes. My husband thinks he's clever. He believes he can use my money to fund his affair while maintaining his reputation as a successful businessman. What he doesn't understand is that I built this company, I own this company, and I can dismantle his entire world with a few phone calls. So why haven't you? Because I want more than a divorce. I want him professionally ruined. I want your wife unemployed and unemployable. I want everyone in this business community to know exactly what kind of people they are. That sounds like revenge. No, Mr. Venton. Revenge is emotional. This is business. She pulls out another document, a partnership dissolution agreement. I'm terminating my business relationship with Holden, effective immediately. As majority owner, I have the right to dissolve the partnership for breach of fiduciary duty. He'll lose his consulting business, his client list, his professional reputation, and his income. What about Aria? Your wife will be unemployed as of Friday afternoon, but that's just the beginning. Isla explains her plan with the methodical precision of someone who's spent years managing complex business operations. She's not just ending the partnership, she's systematically destroying every professional relationship Holden has built over the past decade. I've already contacted our 3 largest clients and informed them about the misuse of company funds. 2 have already terminated their contracts. The 3rd is conducting their own audit to determine if any of their payments were diverted to personal use. Is that legal? Perfectly legal. As the majority owner, I have a fiduciary responsibility to protect the company's assets and reputation. Informing clients about potential fraud is standard business practice. What do you need from me? I need you to keep documenting their activities. I need you to be a witness to their behavior. And when the time comes, I need you to be willing to testify about what you've discovered. Testify where? Civil court. I'm suing Holden for breach of fiduciary duty, misappropriation of corporate funds, and fraud. Your evidence will be crucial to establishing the timeline and scope of their activities. I think about this for a moment. What's in it for me? Besides watching them get what they deserve? Besides that? Isla smiles for the first time since we sat down. I'm offering you the electrical contract for my manufacturing facility. It's a 2-year project worth approximately $600,000. My breath catches. That's more work than my company has ever handled, enough to expand my business and secure my financial future. Why? Because I believe in rewarding people who do the right thing, and because I want you to be financially independent when this is over. There's something else, I say. Something personal. I tell her about Maya, about the timeline of the affair, about my suspicions regarding paternity. Isla listens without judgment, occasionally asking clarifying questions. Have you considered a paternity test? I'm afraid of what I'll find out. Mr. Venton, Evan, regardless of biology, you're that child's father. You've raised her, loved her, provided for her. No test can change that. But if she's not mine, then you have additional grounds for divorce proceedings, and your wife has committed fraud by misrepresenting paternity. Either way, you win custody. We spend another hour going over details, coordinating our strategies, and establishing communication protocols. By the time we part ways, I feel like I have an ally who's more dangerous than any enemy I've ever faced. One more thing, Isla says as we're leaving. Tomorrow night, Holden is hosting a business networking event at the country club. Your wife will be there as his protégé. I think you should attend. I'm not a member. You are now. I've arranged a guest membership through my company. Consider it a business expense. She hands me an embossed invitation. What am I supposed to do there? Nothing dramatic. Just observe. Let them see you. Let them wonder what you know and what you're planning. Psychological pressure. Exactly. Guilty people make mistakes when they feel cornered. I drive home with my mind racing, trying to process everything I've learned. The affair is worse than I thought. It's not just emotional betrayal, it's financial fraud on a massive scale. Aria hasn't just been lying to me, she's been stealing from me, using our joint accounts to fund a secret life with her boss. But now I have an ally with resources, intelligence, and motivation to see this through to the end. When I get home, Aria's car isn't in the driveway. I check my phone and find a text message. Working late again. Don't wait up. I spend the evening with Maya, reading her stories and playing with her toys, trying to memorize every detail of her face. Whether she's biologically mine or not, she's the only innocent person in this situation, and I'm going to protect her from the chaos that's coming. After she's asleep, I sit in my garage and plan my next moves. Tomorrow night, I'm going to crash their party. The Riverside Country Club exists in a different universe from my usual world of electrical panels and construction sites. Valets in white jackets take keys to luxury cars, while men in expensive suits discuss golf handicaps and stock portfolios. I feel like an imposter in my best suit, the one I wore to my wedding 5 years ago. The networking event is being held in the club's main ballroom, a cavernous space with crystal chandeliers and oil paintings of long-deceased industrialists who built this city when America still made things. About 200 people are scattered throughout the room, holding wine glasses and making the kind of small talk that passes for meaningful conversation in business circles. I spot Aria immediately. She's wearing a red dress I've never seen before, standing next to Holden near the bar, laughing at something he's said. They're not touching, but their body language screams intimacy, the way she leans toward him when he speaks, how he positions himself to block other people from approaching her. Holden Ravell is exactly what I expected. Mid-40s, perfectly groomed, wearing a suit that costs more than most people's monthly salary. He has the kind of artificial confidence that comes from never having worked with his hands or worried about paying bills. I get a drink from the bar and position myself where I can observe without being obvious about it. For 20 minutes, I watch them work the room together, introducing each other to potential clients, presenting themselves as a professional team. Then Isla arrives. She makes an entrance that stops conversations throughout the ballroom. Wearing a midnight blue evening gown and carrying herself like royalty, she commands attention without saying a word. I watch Holden's face go pale as he realizes his wife has crashed his networking event. "Darling," Isla says, approaching Holden with a smile that could freeze water. "What a wonderful surprise to see you here, and you must be Aria." She extends her hand to my wife, who looks like she's been struck by lightning. "Mrs. Ravell," Aria manages, "I've heard so much about you." "Have you? How interesting." Holden rarely mentions his employees. The word employees hangs in the air like a slap. Aria's face flushes red, but she maintains her professional smile. Actually, I'm Holden's business partner in several client development initiatives. Business partner? Isla's eyebrows rise slightly. How fascinating. I wasn't aware that our company had taken on any new partners. Holden finally finds his voice. Isla, what are you doing here? Supporting local business, of course. As the primary owner of Ravell Associates, I thought I should meet some of our clients and partners. She emphasizes primary owner just enough to make her point clear. Perhaps we could speak privately, Holden says. Oh, I don't think that's necessary. I'm enjoying meeting your colleagues. Her gaze shifts across the room and lands on me. In fact, I believe I see someone else I'd like to meet. She walks directly toward me, leaving Holden and Aria standing frozen by the bar. Evan Venton, she says, extending her hand. I'm Isla Corvan. I believe you know my husband. Every person within earshot turns to watch this interaction. I can feel Aria's eyes boring into me from across the room. Mrs. Corvan, pleasure to meet you. The pleasure is mine. I understand you're an electrical contractor? That's right. How wonderful. I've been looking for someone to handle a major project at my manufacturing facility. Perhaps we could discuss it sometime. I'd be honored. Excellent. I'll have my assistant call you next week. The entire exchange takes less than 2 minutes, but the message is clear to everyone watching. Isla Corvan, one of the most powerful business owners in the city, is publicly aligning herself with me. I see Holden approaching, his face tight with barely controlled panic. Isla, I think there's been some misunderstanding. No misunderstanding at all, darling. I'm simply expanding our professional network. She turns back to me. Mr. Venton, I hope you'll consider joining us for dinner sometime. I'd love to hear more about your work. I'd enjoy that. Wonderful. Perhaps this Saturday? I know a lovely restaurant downtown. Romano's, I believe it's called. The name hits like a physical blow. Romano's is where Holden and Aria had dinner last week, charged to their business account. Isla is letting them know that she knows everything. Romano's sounds perfect, I say. Holden looks like he's about to be sick. Aria has gone completely pale. Well, this has been delightful, Isla says. I should circulate and meet some of the other guests. Holden, we'll talk later. She glides away, leaving the three of us standing in an awkward triangle. What the hell is going on? Aria hisses at me. I'm networking. Isn't that what you're always telling me to do? How do you know his wife? I don't. She approached me. Apparently, she's heard good things about my work. Holden is studying my face, trying to determine how much I know and what kind of threat I represent. Evan, isn't it? I've heard so much about you from Aria. All good things, I hope. Of course, she speaks very highly of your practical skills. The condescension in his voice is unmistakable. He's trying to put me in my place, remind me that I'm the blue-collar husband who should be grateful for whatever scraps of respect he's willing to offer. I appreciate that, and I have tremendous respect for what you do for her career development. Thank you. Mentoring talented people is one of my passions. I can see that. In fact, I respect your mentoring so much that I've been thinking of ways to show my appreciation. Something in my tone makes him pause. That's very thoughtful. For instance, I was thinking of sending your wife a thank you note. You know, expressing gratitude for sharing your expertise with Aria's professional growth. Holden's eyes narrow. That's not necessary. Oh, but I insist. In fact, I've been documenting all the ways you've helped Aria's career. Hotel conferences, business dinners, professional development trips. I have receipts for everything. The word receipts lands like a punch. Holden's face goes through several color changes before settling on a sickly gray. Evan, Aria says, grabbing my arm, we should go. But we just got here, and I'm having such an interesting conversation with your mentor. I think my wife is right, Holden says. Perhaps this isn't the appropriate venue for this discussion. You're absolutely right. This is a business networking event. We should keep things professional. I take a business card from my wallet and hand it to him. In case your wife needs any electrical work done. I understand she owns several properties that might require maintenance. Holden takes the card with shaking fingers. I should mention, I continue, I specialize in exposing hidden problems, faulty wiring, overloaded circuits, systems that aren't working the way they're supposed to. I'm very good at identifying issues before they cause serious damage. Evan, Aria's voice is sharp with warning. Of course, sometimes the damage has already been done. In those cases, the best approach is usually complete rewiring. Start fresh, you know? Remove all the old, corrupted components and install a completely new system. Holden understands the metaphor perfectly. If you'll excuse me, he says, I need to speak with some clients. He walks away quickly, leaving Aria and me standing alone. What do you think you're doing? She demands. Showing respect for your mentor, just like you asked. This isn't respect. This is sabotage. Is it? I thought I was being quite polite. Evan, if you do anything to damage Holden's reputation or our professional relationship, I will make your life miserable. More miserable than it already is? What's that supposed to mean? Nothing. Just making conversation. She stares at me for a long moment, trying to read my expression. I want to go home. You go ahead. I'm enjoying the networking. We came together. We're leaving together. Actually, we didn't come together. You came with your mentor. I came alone. Fine. Stay here and embarrass yourself. I'm leaving. She storms off, her heels clicking angrily on the marble floor. I watch her leave, then notice that Holden has disappeared as well. They're probably meeting in the parking lot to coordinate their damage control strategy. I spend another hour at the event, making genuine business connections and establishing myself as someone worth knowing in the local business community. Several people approach me after witnessing my interaction with Isla, clearly curious about the relationship between the electrician and the manufacturing heiress. By the time I leave, I've collected a dozen business cards and scheduled 3 potential service calls. More importantly, I've sent a clear message to Holden and Aria. I know what they're doing, and I'm not going to be the silent, ignorant husband they expected. When I get home, Aria's car is in the driveway, but the house is dark. I find her in our bedroom, sitting on the edge of the bed, still wearing her red dress. We need to talk, she says. About what? About whatever game you think you're playing. I'm not playing any games. I'm just trying to show more appreciation for your professional relationships. Cut the act, Evan. What do you want? What do I want? Money? A better settlement in the divorce? What? The word divorce hangs between us like a loaded weapon. Is that what you want? A divorce? I want you to stop whatever you're planning and let me handle my own career. Your career. Right. Is that what we're calling it? What else would we call it? I don't know. Fraud, maybe? Her face goes completely white. What did you say? You heard me. Evan, I think you're having some kind of breakdown. Maybe you should talk to someone. Maybe I should. Maybe I should talk to a lawyer, or an accountant, or your husband's wife. Holden's wife? You know, the woman who actually owns the company you work for? The one whose money has been paying for your professional development activities? Aria stands up slowly, her hands clenched into fists. You don't know what you're talking about. Don't I? Riverside Inn, March 15th. Romano's Restaurant, April 3rd. The downtown apartment lease in both your names. Should I continue? She stares at me in complete shock, realizing that I know everything. How long have you known? Long enough? What do you want? I want you to pack your things and get out of my house. Your house. This is our house. Not anymore. As of tomorrow morning, I'm filing for divorce. You can stay at your mentor's apartment until you figure out your next move. You can't throw me out. I have rights. You had rights. You gave them up when you decided to steal from our joint accounts to fund your affair. I never stole anything. $47,000 in fraudulent business expenses, $340,000 in misappropriated corporate funds. I have documentation for all of it. Aria sits back down heavily, the fight going out of her. Evan, you don't understand. Holden and I were building something together, a real business partnership that could make us wealthy. You're building something, all right, but it's not a business. He loves me. He's using you. And when this all comes out, and it will come out, he's going to throw you under the bus to save himself. That's not true. We'll see. I turn to leave the room, then pause at the doorway. One more thing. I'm getting a paternity test for Maya. Aria's sharp intake of breath tells me everything I need to know. Friday morning arrives gray and cold, matching my mood as I sit in my lawyer's office reviewing divorce papers. Jennifer Walsh is a family law attorney who specializes in high-conflict cases involving business assets and custody disputes. She's been practicing for 20 years and has the kind of reputation that makes opposing counsel nervous. This is one of the more comprehensive evidence packages I've ever seen, she says, flipping through the documents I've provided. Bank records, hotel receipts, corporate financial statements, email communications. You've essentially built the entire case for me. I wanted to be thorough. Thorough doesn't begin to describe this. You've documented a pattern of fraud, embezzlement, and adultery that spans 18 months. Your wife and her lover have essentially stolen from both your family and his business. What kind of settlement can I expect? Given the evidence of financial misconduct, I expect you'll receive the majority of marital assets, plus restitution for the misappropriated funds. The adultery documentation strengthens your position significantly, and if the paternity test confirms your suspicions, you'll have additional grounds for fraud claims. What about custody? Based on your wife's behavior and the evidence of financial instability, I'm confident we can secure primary custody. The court tends to favor the parent who can provide a stable, honest environment. My phone buzzes with a text message from Isla. Emergency meeting, coffee shop on Main Street, 1 hour. I need to step out, I tell Jennifer. Something's happening. I drive to the coffee shop, my mind racing with possibilities. When I arrive, Isla is already there, sitting in a corner booth with a laptop open and papers spread across the table. She looks like she hasn't slept. It's happening faster than we expected, she says without preamble. What's happening? The complete collapse of my husband's professional life. She turns her laptop screen toward me. It's showing an email inbox with dozens of messages from clients, business partners, and professional contacts. Word is spreading through the business community about the partnership dissolution and the reasons behind it. 3 more clients terminated their contracts yesterday. 2 others are demanding full audits of their accounts. That's good for us, right? It's better than good. It's devastating for them. She shows me a series of email exchanges between Holden and various business contacts. The tone is increasingly desperate as he tries to salvage professional relationships and maintain his reputation. But here's the interesting part. Isla continues. Your wife has been reaching out to our clients independently, trying to position herself as the continuation of Holden's services. What do you mean? She's essentially trying to steal our client list and start her own consulting business. She's telling people that she was the real talent behind Ravell Associates, and that she's now available for independent contracting. Is that legal? Technically, yes, but practically, it's business suicide. She doesn't have the experience, credentials, or financial backing to run a consulting firm. More importantly, she doesn't have the client relationships. Isla shows me another email, this one from Aria to one of their former clients. She's promising services at half our rates and claiming she can deliver better results because she won't have the overhead and bureaucracy of a larger firm. How do you know about these emails? Because our former clients are forwarding them to me. They want to know if this is legitimate or if they should be concerned about working with someone associated with the financial irregularities. What are you telling them? The truth, that Aria Venton was an employee, not a partner, and that she has no authority to represent our company or access our proprietary methods. My phone rings. The caller ID shows Aria's number. "Answer it," Isla says. "Put it on speaker." "Evan, we need to talk." "About what?" "About the lies you've been spreading about me and Holden." "I haven't spread any lies. His wife is telling people that we stole money from the company." "Did you?" "We used company funds for legitimate business development activities." "Like the downtown apartment?" Silence. "Aria, where are you calling from?" "That's not important." "Are you at the apartment?" "Evan, I need you to call off whatever investigation you started. It's destroying innocent people's careers." "Innocent people?" "Holden never meant for any of this to happen. He was just trying to help my career development." "By sleeping with you?" "Our relationship evolved beyond professional mentoring, but that doesn't make it fraud." "Actually, it does. When you use company money to fund personal relationships, that's the definition of fraud." "You don't understand business." "I understand theft." Isla is taking notes while listening to the conversation. "Evan, I'm willing to work out an arrangement, a settlement that's fair to both of us." "What kind of arrangement?" "I keep my professional relationships and client list. You get the house and primary custody of Maya. We split the other assets 50-50. "What about the money you stole?" "I didn't steal anything. Those were legitimate business expenses." $47,000 of legitimate business expenses? "Yes." "For hotel rooms where you had personal relationships?" "Those were networking events." "With one person?" "Evan, you're being deliberately obtuse." Isla slides a note across the table. "Keep her talking." "Aria, help me understand. If these were legitimate business expenses, why didn't you tell me about them?" "Because you wouldn't have understood the strategic importance of relationship building in the consulting industry." "So you lied to protect my feelings?" "I simplified the situation to avoid unnecessary conflict." "By telling me you were attending conferences that didn't exist?" "Those conferences were real." "The Atlanta conference was virtual only, no hotel required." Silence again. "Aria, are you still there?" "I need to go." "Wait, one more question. Is Maya my daughter?" The line goes quiet for so long that I think she's hung up. "Aria? That's a horrible thing to ask." "It's a simple question. Is Maya biologically my daughter?" "You've raised her. You're her father." "That's not what I asked." "Evan, some questions are better left unasked. And some lies are better left unexposed. But here we are." She hangs up without another word. Isla closes her laptop and looks at me with something approaching admiration. "That was well done. You got her to admit to the fraudulent expenses and dodge the paternity question. What happens now?" "Now we finish what we started." She pulls out her phone and dials a number. "Detective Morrison, this is Isla Corvan. I'd like to file a formal complaint regarding embezzlement and fraud. Yes, I have extensive documentation. This afternoon would be perfect." She hangs up and turns back to me. "I'm filing criminal charges." "Is that necessary?" "Evan, they stole over $300,000 from my company. This isn't a civil dispute anymore. It's a criminal matter." "What about Aria?" "What about her?" "She's still Maya's mother. And she's also a criminal. Those two facts aren't mutually exclusive." I think about Maya, sleeping peacefully in her bed this morning, unaware that her world is about to change forever. "How long before they're arrested?" Detective Morrison said he can move quickly given the quality of the evidence, probably early next week. "I need to prepare Maya." "You need to protect Maya. There's a difference." Isla starts packing up her materials. "There's one more thing, Evan. Something I haven't told you yet." "What?" "The downtown apartment lease includes a clause allowing the landlord to terminate for illegal activities. I happen to know the building owner personally." "And?" "As of this morning, your wife and my husband are being evicted. They have 72 hours to vacate the premises. Where will they go? That's not our problem anymore. She stands to leave, then pauses. Evan, I want you to know that I don't take any pleasure in destroying people's lives, but sometimes destruction is necessary to protect the innocent. I understand. Do you? Because what comes next is going to be brutal. Media attention, criminal proceedings, public humiliation. Are you prepared for that? Are you? I've been preparing for this my entire life. The question is whether you're ready to see it through to the end. I think about everything that's brought me to this moment, the lies, the theft, the betrayal, the uncertainty about my own daughter's paternity. I'm ready. Good. Because after next week, there's no going back. She leaves me sitting in the coffee shop, staring out the window at the gray November sky, wondering if revenge will feel as satisfying as I've imagined. My phone buzzes with another text message, this one from an unknown number. You've made a terrible mistake. This isn't over. I show the message to the barista and ask her to call the police. Then I drive home to hug my daughter and prepare for war. Monday morning brings the sound of sirens to my quiet suburban neighborhood. I'm in the kitchen making Maya's breakfast when I see the police cars pull up to the house across the street where Aria has been staying since I asked her to leave. Through the window, I watch two detectives approach the front door. Maya is eating her cereal, completely oblivious to the drama unfolding outside. Daddy, why are there police cars? Sometimes police need to talk to people about important things. Are they coming to talk to us? No, sweetheart. We haven't done anything wrong. My phone rings. It's Jennifer Walsh, my attorney. Evan, I just got word that arrests were made this morning. Your wife and Holden Ravell are being charged with embezzlement, fraud, and conspiracy. What happens now? They'll be processed, arraigned, and released on bail. The criminal proceedings will take months, but this actually strengthens our position in the divorce case. How so? Criminal charges for financial crimes support our claims about marital asset dissipation. The court will be much more sympathetic to your position. After I hang up, I get Maya ready for daycare and try to maintain our normal routine. She's too young to understand what's happening, but children sense tension even when they can't identify its source. Will Mommy be home for dinner? She asks as I buckle her into her car seat. Mommy is dealing with some work problems right now. She'll see you soon. It's not exactly a lie, but it's not the truth either. The truth is that I don't know when or if Aria will be in a position to have normal visits with Maya. At work, I try to focus on scheduling service calls and managing my crew, but the phone keeps ringing with calls from reporters who somehow got my number. Word has spread quickly through our small business community about the arrests. Mr. Venton, this is Rebecca Chen from Channel 7 News. We understand you're the husband of Aria Venton, who was arrested this morning for embezzlement. Would you be willing to comment? No comment. Can you tell us how long you've been aware of the alleged criminal activity? No comment. Are you cooperating with the police investigation? I hang up without responding. By noon, I've received calls from 3 different news outlets, 2 radio stations, and a reporter from the local newspaper. Isla was right about the media attention. This story has everything that sells newspapers: business fraud, adultery, and the downfall of prominent community figures. I'm eating lunch at my desk when Gus calls. You see the news? I'm living the news. How are you holding up? Better than I expected. Worse than I hoped. You want to hit the gym tonight? Might help clear your head. Can't. I need to pick up Maya and figure out how to explain why Mommy isn't coming home. That's rough. You need anything? Yeah, a time machine. Fresh out of those. How about a beer instead? Rain check. After work, I pick up Maya from daycare and take her to the park. It's a crisp November afternoon, and she wants to play on the swings while I push her higher and higher, her laughter cutting through the tension that's been building in my chest all day. Daddy, look how high I can go. I see you, sweetheart, you're flying. Am I going to fly away? No, baby. I'm right here. I'll always catch you. It's a promise I hope I can keep. When we get home, there's a car in my driveway that I don't recognize. As we pull in, I see Aria getting out of the passenger seat. She's wearing the same clothes she had on Friday, and she looks like she hasn't slept in days. Mommy! Maya runs toward her, and Aria scoops her up, holding her tight. Hi, baby. I missed you so much. The driver of the car gets out, and I recognize him as David Chen, a lawyer who advertises on late-night television. He's wearing an expensive suit and the kind of smile that makes me want to check my wallet. Mr. Venton, I'm David Chen, representing your wife in this matter. I'd like to discuss a resolution that works for everyone. I have a lawyer. Of course, but sometimes these situations can be resolved more amicably through direct communication. What kind of resolution? Aria sets Maya down and sends her inside to play. Evan, I want to come home. That's not possible. I made mistakes, I admit that, but I want to work on our marriage. Our marriage ended when you started stealing money to fund your affair. I never stole anything. David Chen steps forward. Mr. Venton, my client was released on her own recognizance this morning. The charges against her are largely based on circumstantial evidence and guilt by association. Guilt by association? The prosecution's case relies heavily on her relationship with Mr. Ravell, but being in a relationship with someone who misappropriated funds doesn't make her guilty of the same crime. What about the joint apartment lease, the fake conference receipts, the $47,000 in fraudulent expenses? Those are civil matters that can be resolved through negotiation. I look at Aria, trying to see some trace of the woman I married 5 years ago. Do you even understand what you've done? I fell in love with someone who believed in my potential. You committed fraud. I made poor choices. You stole money from our family to pay for hotel rooms with your boss. I invested in my career development. The complete lack of accountability is staggering. Aria, do you want to know what I've been doing while you've been developing your career? What? I've been documenting everything. Every lie, every forged receipt, every fake conference. I have 18 months of evidence showing exactly what you and Holden have been doing. David Chen's expression sharpens. What kind of documentation? The kind that's going to put your client in prison. Mr. Venton, I think you're overestimating the strength of the prosecution's case. Am I? Because Detective Morrison seemed pretty confident when he called this morning to thank me for my cooperation. Aria goes pale. You're working with the police? I'm working with everyone who's interested in the truth. Evan, please, think about Maya. Think about our family. I am thinking about Maya. That's why I'm protecting her from parents who commit crimes. I'm not a criminal. The state of Ohio disagrees. David Chen pulls out a business card and hands it to me. Mr. Venton, I encourage you to consider the long-term implications of this situation. Criminal proceedings are expensive, time-consuming, and traumatic for everyone involved, especially children. What are you suggesting? Perhaps there's a way to resolve the civil matters without pursuing the criminal charges. The criminal charges aren't mine to pursue. They belong to the state. But your cooperation with the prosecution significantly strengthens their case. Yes, it does. What would it take for you to reconsider that cooperation? I stare at him for a long moment, then start laughing. Are you seriously asking me to obstruct justice? I'm asking you to consider what's best for your family. What's best for my family is making sure that people who commit crimes face consequences. Aria starts crying. Evan, I love you. I love Maya. I want us to be a family again. You should have thought about that before you started your mentoring program. It wasn't supposed to happen this way. How was it supposed to happen? Holden said we could build something together, a real business partnership that would make us wealthy. And what about me? What about Maya? Where did we fit into this business partnership? You would have benefited from my success. By paying for your hotel rooms? Those were investments in our future. Our future, or your future, with Holden. She doesn't answer. David Chen checks his watch. Mr. Venton, my client would like to spend some time with her daughter. Supervised visits can be arranged through the family court. She's still the child's mother. Is she? Aria's sharp intake of breath confirms what I already suspected. What's that supposed to mean? David Chen asks. Ask your client. I turn to go inside, then pause. Aria, you have 10 minutes to say goodbye to Maya, then I want you off my property. Evan, 10 minutes. I go inside and watch through the window as Aria kneels down to talk to Maya. I can't hear what she's saying, but I can see Maya's confused expression as her mother tries to explain why she won't be coming home. After exactly 10 minutes, I step outside. Time's up. Aria kisses Maya's forehead and stands up, tears streaming down her face. This isn't over, she says. Yes, it is. She gets back in David Chen's car, and they drive away. Maya stands in the driveway, waving until the car disappears around the corner. Daddy, when is Mommy coming home? I don't know, sweetheart. Is she in trouble? Yes, baby. She made some bad choices and now she has to face the consequences. What are consequences? When you do something wrong, something bad happens to teach you not to do it again. Like when I don't clean my room and I can't watch cartoons? Something like that. We go inside, and I help Maya with her coloring books while trying to process everything that's happened. In the span of a week, I've gone from being the ignorant husband to being the key witness in a criminal case that will probably destroy several people's lives. My phone rings. It's Isla. How are you holding up? Better than expected. I saw the news coverage. They're making it sound like a soap opera. Feels like one too. Evan, there's something else we need to discuss. What now? The paternity test results came back. My stomach drops. And? Maya isn't your biological daughter. The words hit me like a physical blow. Even though I suspected it, hearing the confirmation feels like losing her all over again. Evan, are you there? Yeah, I'm here. I'm sorry. It doesn't change anything. She's still my daughter. Legally, it changes everything. This gives you additional grounds for fraud claims against Aria. I don't care about the legal implications. You should. This evidence could be worth millions in civil court. Isla, I appreciate everything you've done to help me, but Maya isn't a legal strategy. She's my daughter, regardless of biology. Of course, I didn't mean to suggest otherwise. What happens now? Now we finish what we started. The criminal trial will probably begin in 6 months. The civil suits will take longer, but by this time next year, justice will have been served. And what about the people whose lives we've destroyed? What about them? Do you ever feel guilty about any of this? Evan, they destroyed their own lives. We just documented the destruction. After we hang up, I sit on my couch and watch Maya color pictures of families, mothers, fathers, and children holding hands under bright yellow suns. Daddy, can you help me color the daddy? Sure, baby. Make him strong. How do you know the daddy is strong? Because daddies protect their families. I pick up a brown crayon and start coloring, hoping that I'm strong enough to protect the only family I have left. Outside, the November wind rattles the windows, and somewhere across town, my wife is probably planning her next move in a game that I never wanted to play. But I'm not the same person who discovered those hotel receipts in his garage 3 weeks ago. I'm someone who's learned that sometimes protecting your family means destroying everything else. And I'm finally at peace with that choice. The story ends here, with Maya and me coloring pictures of families that look nothing like ours, but somehow feel more real than anything we've had